Hello, you're listening to Otaku Spirit Animecast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo.
Today's episode is a discussional podcast episode where we'll do some news, some very important news before we go into our reviews of the summer 2025 anime season. I've already done a couple reviews, but I didn't go too crazy this season. Did Ruri Rocks. That was a good video. I actually got a reply from one of the key animators.
Yeah.
That was actually really cool.
Cool.
I always love whenever I get some sort of like comment. I'm always afraid of missing them. That's the big thing now. Like whenever I see one, it's like, oh, cool. One of the animators for this series that I really, really love reply to it. Had a really cool story they actually laid out there. And I was like, I don't know if you intended to write this much and this personal about what happened with you, but thank you for sharing that whole thing. I make sure to pin it and tell everybody to kind of go in there and say hi, you know, give them your encouragement. But that was cool. But yeah, I haven't done too many reviews. I did do my tier list like usual, but now it's time to actually dive into them, give some full-on thoughts of each of these shows, and get Chris's perspective too. Because I'm sure people are just dying to get Chris's perspective on Nukitashi. But yes, before we get into that, as per usual, at otakuspirit.com, that's where all of our links are, social media links, ways to get a hold of us, ways to support us. We greatly, greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel and everything that we do here. But yeah, before we get into the reviews themselves, let's dive into it. I have a couple of news bits, and it's mostly around Crunchyroll that I do want to get your take on the whole situation. I'm not sure if you see my videos on the last two fiascos with Crunchyroll.
No, but you can just shoot me a text saying, check out this one.
Subtitles. Have you seen a change in subtitles recently? I'm not sure if you checked out the fall season yet.
Mm-mm.
But yeah,
well,
the
no,
subtitles.
I have, but haven't really.
Crunchyroll subtitles changed dramatically over the course of an entire season, kind of shifting over. And there was a big old fiasco around that. Understandably, because I don't really notice it too much because for those who don't know, I do sub to all these platforms, but a lot of what I consume is through other sources so that I can have them in an actual playlist on local drive. So there's like a thing here where I don't technically get the experience that Crunchyroll has, that you have on Crunchyroll, which what is the experience on Crunchyroll? Really vibrant and popping subtitles. Like massive stroke around the edges of the letters themselves. Like I think it has like 100% stroke on every letters. So basically the idea is that your H has the lines this thick, the stroke will be this thick. So it's white and then you'll have this black outline around it. That's huge. It makes it, what I say is like the experience itself helps you see it because typically with animation, it's always like high impact, high colors. And so unlike a foreign film where it's really easy to read subtitles that are, you know, very skinny and whatnot. With anime, you sort of need something that pops out from the colors.
Right.
So that's always been the experience with Crunchyroll. And that's why I think a lot of people really did enjoy the experience on the platform. With the change of the season, suddenly we had very thin letters and like, I would say like a 25%, if even that, stroke on the letters themselves.
There was one show that I was watching recently that I was having a hard time reading it, but I didn't think much of it. I didn't notice I didn't know that was a thing.
I've had times in the past where it was a bit off, but it was typically with shows that were on multi-platform. And I would assume that was going to be the case where they essentially, somebody else handled the typeset and everything. And they just brought it over to their platform rather than redoing the typeset and everything. They just copy-paste it. Bring it over. I think it was Dead Demons to Destruction. I believe that was it because I think that was on Netflix too, ? It was somewhere else. And so Crunchyroll just got whatever they had. And it was really bad because it was also dub titles. I absolutely hate dub titles. Typically Crunchyroll themselves don't do dub titles. So when you see dub titles, it's probably because somebody else handled it. But yeah, I didn't really notice it so much because again, the way that I consume the media. But I did very quickly notice people, like from the first episode of the first show that aired, it was like, what are these subtitles? Somebody messed up. What's going on? And it wasn't just that, because it was also the case of two major other problems. One being timing, a lot of timing issues, which I do notice that because even with other platforms, you will notice it. For those that don't know, if you view it from another source, if you download it, if you get it from another platform, whatever, unless, in some cases, Crunchyroll does give theirs to other platforms as well. So you can even experience elsewhere. Timing, even if you have different typesets elsewhere, it's going to show. It's going to happen. The other big problem is because they're seemingly using different software. Now, Crunchyroll claims they haven't changed software. Potentially using different software, at least a different group that's doing a lot of these subtitling, they're having issues with sort of placement of text. You remember how they usually have, like, if there's something on a wall, you'll see them actually place the subtitle at the spot where the wall has the Japanese with the translation on or whatever. Now they're just doing top and bottom. If there's two people talking at the same time, they're literally just stack them on top of each other rather than putting one at the top and one at the bottom of the screen, just to kind of separate the two dialogues. So there's a lot of changes happen literally overnight to a new season. Now, it does seem like all of the continuing shows don't have this problem, which that gets into my theory that if nothing has changed except for the new shows, it tells me that they possibly, with the new season, contracted to a new group. Because, like, Gachakuta, Soul Camping for 2, all those shows that are continuing from the summer season, presumably they're still the same people doing them, are still the same typeset and everything. But yeah, that gets into the theories. A lot of people were claiming that they changed softwares. There's apparently people leaking that Crunchyroll staffs are upset because they changed software. That hasn't been substantiated. I haven't seen like any kind of proof of that. It's just what this person says. What Crunchyroll themselves has said is that it was an internal problem. It's already been resolved, and nothing that they do has changed. They haven't changed softwares. They're not using AI, and they haven't gone to new vendors. X to doubt. You can't have...
It might have been Grieving Soul that I noticed it on.
Yeah, I would assume that at least the first episode would have that case. I don't see that massive a change with one season transition that nothing in the background has changed. Like, unless they set up a new server and that new server was going to get the new episodes, maybe? I don't know. How does your entire typeset change on your subtitles and that not be something? And even so, even though they said they changed and fixed things, it's still not like the old ones. Because there's the 100% stroke on all the letters, that thickness, and there's typically also a shadowing. They typically also have a shadow effect that will go to the bottom right.
It's possible.
No
I don't think I've never
anymore.
noticed a shadow. I do know that I've noticed I usually notice the outlines, but that's only because I'm used to. I mean, you did it a little bit too with graphics. Us doing signs and stuff like that. We naturally are aware of how much of a stroke and all that stuff that we did with the graphics. So it's something that we're just kind of more keen to. But yeah, it kind of, usually if it doesn't contrast well, that's usually when I notice it. And that's what I was talking about with the if it is Grieving Soul, then so be it. But it might have been another show that I watched recently, and but you can usually see it when it's the letters themselves and the contrast of the outline, if that doesn't break against whatever's behind it. And they usually do contrasting mostly because if it's yellow and you have a black outline, if the screen itself turns light colors, then that black will break that background so that you can read the letters, even if it goes back and forth between dark colors or light colors.
Yeah, I noticed that with like Dress Up Darling, I think they use like a blue sometimes. Like they do. If the person that's working on the project understands what they're working with, they're going to do a style that kind of fits with it.
Right.
And helps it, with the contrast especially. Because, like, if the show is like...
Yeah, and
if the entire show is black, you don't want a black stroke.
Dress Up Darling has a lot of warm colors, so you would want something that would break against that. Yeah. Blue would be a natural inclination, And
it's less jarring to the other colors as well. It's all in, like, contrast. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, this... I'm not going to give them too much credit, but there is a sense here they love what they did. Technically the original group of Crunchyroll, they loved anime. That's why they were doing what they were doing. And they built a system that was something that people were gravitated towards. That's what drew the people to them. They were fighting against piracy. They were a piracy site, and then they were transitioning out of piracy, and then they became fighting against piracy by saying, we went legit. Our problem with doing this was that it was because it wasn't available. Now it's all available. Now we're going legit. How do we get people to go away from something that they've been so accustomed to having for free? Well, let's make the enjoyable experience. Let's make it available like that. We got buddy with these companies. They can get the stuff to us quickly. That way we can get the script at least early. That way we can translate it all and have it ready to pop up right when it's ready to go, simulcasting. The other thing was just visually. Having that be so easy to read the stuff. Having that contrast with this stroke, being able to make it pop from the screen. And now we're back to, I don't know, Netflix style type of subtitles here that just don't really stand out. In some cases, I think it was especially with, I mean, they were all pretty much the same, but I remember specifically with the monster meat. What was it called? It eats the one with the monster eating princess.
Something like
no, the monster eating princess, or the Duke's daughter that loves the monster meat. Pass the monster meat, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's right. Gotcha.
That one especially was like, I know I'm exaggerating here, but it's like, are those lines for the letters like 3 pixels wide? Like, what does that say? Like, almost like the stroke makes it disappear. But anyways, yeah, it was. I don't want to say this because, again, my perspective is that I feel like it is Crunchyroll dialing back. They have the stronghold on the anime industry. They literally have a guy from Kadokawa, which now is 10% owned by Crunchyroll. A producer from Kadokawa is willing to say this when they are 10% owned by Sony. Sorry, they were 10% owned by Sony, which is Crunchyroll. A Kadokawa producer literally saying, because groups like HiDive are failing and not coming to the table anymore, and Crunchyroll is the only one coming in the door, Crunchyroll is now starting to get very stingy with the money. There's no bid wars happening anymore. And that makes me fearful because now Crunchyroll is laying people off. And now my assumption is that actually is happening here, because I'm not going to take Crunchyroll's word for 100%. I don't think they changed softwares, because they would say that. I don't see why they wouldn't say it. And even though there are controversies behind where the country of origin of the company of the software is, Israel, there's a controversy there they could be avoiding, but I think it's more the fact that they're essentially outsourcing more, because they just laid off a whole bunch of staff members, and they have a new season of anime coming out, and then suddenly the subtitles are changing. I think it's more the fact, because I would see them more kind of transitioning. When a company's smart about a software transitions typically go in phases. Yeah. You have this person start it, they teach the next person, they teach the next part. You don't just walk in the door and say, everybody shut down that software, install this disk, and get to work when the season transitions. No, they would be having people one by one. It makes more sense to me that when the new season's coming around, they have to sign up a whole bunch of new members to each show that's going to be airing on their platform. Okay, we have this list of new shows that are going to be kicking off this next week. Who's going to be working on them? This new company. Call them and start assigning these all to them. They'll handle it. And that company has that typeset. And that company messed up bad, and Crunchyroll probably didn't give them the right, typesets to work with, or they use different software. They could be using that other software. Either way, the end result is everybody's pissed off. Crunchyroll thankfully responded. It seems like they're fixing it. I mean, the latest ones have much better, stroke to it, and the letters are thicker. So they're probably contacting that company and saying, yeah, everybody's mad, please get close to this. And they're like, we can get kind of close to that. Does this look good? Yeah, it's good enough. That's what I think happened, is that they laid off a lot of employees. They're looking to outsource more. They have a different group that's probably handling all the subtitles, and their subtitles suck. And they have a lot of timing issues. But yeah, there was a lot of issues as well. The delay in shows was pretty big too, because if I remember correctly, I heard some people say that I wasn't. Knowing me, I wasn't watching My Hero Academia like a hawk, and apparently My Hero Academia was delayed, which that's huge. It seemed like the
transition was kind of weird. It felt different. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I wouldn't say that it was delayed, because I got a couple of shows that started. And so I kind of hit one here and there, but then suddenly all of them hit, I want to say, this week.
Yeah, that was the annoying thing too.
And some of them have several episodes. So
that was the other thing. Silent Witch. Again, I got my Silent Witch from Amazon JP, I believe. It wasn't Crunchyroll, but it was Crunchyroll's version, which I think they were broadcasting on there. At least they were using their version there, or something like that. Either way, like, it even had the Crunchyroll logo on it and everything. So I was watching the Crunchyroll version, but Crunchyroll's site wasn't posting it.
Oh yeah.
Like, that whole weekend was like absolute butt, dude. somebody screwed up so bad that week, and it wasn't funny. But that's all for me to transition to the other subject, which is HiDive. I don't think HiDive is gonna make it much longer. Did you hear?
Yeah, you were just you kind of dropped it a few minutes ago.
I did.
Yeah.
What's
you
that?
said that Katakawa said that HiDive is failing.
Well, yeah, that was like 3 months ago when that was talked about. But I did bring it up in my video talking about this next one, which is Crunchyroll got a new license for January. I'm not sure if you remember what all we talked about for January yet. But there's a big show of HiDives that's supposed to come around in January. Ain't gonna be on HiDive no more.
Well, if I use anything about what's on the screen and right there, I would have a idea which one it is.
Spoiler! Spoiler! I didn't know it was on there. Yeah, Oshinoko. Crunchyroll got Oshinoko season 3. That's a. I was convinced that HiDive had already announced that they had that. So whenever he was talking about that in Discord, I'm like, well, I guess HiDive's having them air it. Which, yeah, is kind of, even if HiDive had it and they were letting Crunchyroll stream season 3, that's not like a death knell to the company because they're still going to get paid for that. But I was convinced that it was on HiDive and they already announced it. But yeah, I later found an article that said that they contacted HiDive and they said they're not streaming season 3 for right now. I'm like, oh, they got it. Crunchyroll 100% got it. If they're announcing that they're streaming it before HiDive and HiDive's saying that they're not streaming it yet, it's gone. And I was like, that is like huge because if you remember correctly, back when season 1 aired, what did HiDive say? It broke records for them.
Yeah.
It was huge. Because remember we had that whole discussion about like what can they do now? Because I think we had a bit of our podcast. We had this discussion about, okay, HiDive, this is huge. You just got a massive moneymaker. You broke records. Bank on it.
Yeah.
Seize it. Reinvest that money you have. I was saying at the time, get a shonen. Take that money. Don't spend any of it. Invest it in an upcoming shonen. Get us. Yeah, I guess the best way that I would say about that time. What would that be about that time? I don't remember we had like a big shonen pop up at that time. I mean, like a Sakamoto Days or something like that. Get something big that everybody's excited for, that Crunchyroll is going to be paying a lot of money for. Reinvest. Improve your platform. Get that customer goodwill and hold on to it. And I think I've said it several times since then. You guys squandered it.
Yep.
You did nothing with that. And you're dying.
None of the shows that have came out since have been all that impressive. And I don't even know if there was it last
I think the
season
only thing so far since then has been Bokuyaba. Has been the only other show that I've been like, oh my gosh, I love this show so much. I mean, they have shows on there that I like, but they're not like mainstream.
Yeah, Call of the Night is barely keeping them afloat, I'm sure.
And that's probably a carryover as well. They already had that established relationship there. Not that it's guaranteed, as you can see with Oshinoko. I'm honestly at this point, I believe they probably could have gotten season 3 by some sort of grandfathering in. I bet HiDive just didn't want it. They probably had a good asking price on it. They paid it 2 times, and the third time it's like, no, we don't care no more. I think right now, I'm convinced right now, HiDive's in a state of just roll the autos.
Yeah.
I think they're just rolling the auto subs, which makes me want to cancel. I'm right now really debating just canceling because I don't like what they're doing right now. Because it feels like that's what they're doing. They're investing in... This season we have 3. I think last season it feels like we had 2.
Yeah, it
or
seems
was it
like
3?
I mean, none of the shows that came out last season, I think I even looked at.
I want to remember what we had last season. I mean, well, Call the Night.
Well, yeah,
but again, that's a carryover.
But no, I mean, I'm talking. I'm thinking the season before that, because last season was, there was 2 shows that I was watching last season on HiDive. It was Call of the Night and
Talking about spring. We're going way back to spring. Where is my spring doc? I think back in spring I was pretty good about updating all the streaming platforms. At some point I got lazy on that.
Crunchyroll is absolutely brutal about you can't get on our site without signing up anymore.
In spring, oh, they had oh no, that was Amazon from old Country Bumpkin. That was on Amazon. Shoot, what was in spring? I think Amazon had more shows in spring than HiDive. That's crazy. That is crazy to think. I think literally Netflix and everybody has more show. Oh, Demon Hunter, Sword of the Demon Hunter. That was a 2-core show, so that was technically last season as well. Dude, I almost think that spring it was just Sword of the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm watching all 3 of the shows this season.
Gotcha show, Dusk, Dusk the End of the World, or Dusk Beyond the End of the World, and what's the third one?
It had to have been last season because
the Hero Show, right? Oh, Yandere Elf was spring too. You're watching that for sure.
I didn't watch it
because it was censored. That's right. They didn't get the fully uncensored. Rocka's Latest Modesty was also spring as well.
Yeah, I watched that the first like 3 or 4 minutes of it, and
So I'm sorry. Of the 80 shows, 70 to 80 shows a season, I'm sorry. HiDive's gotten like 3. So it wasn't just 2. But I mean, my whole point is like it feels like they have like this small investment. And that investment typically will get them like 2 or 3 shows, and that's all they care about. But I really do think like they're trying to keep at least some shows flowing just for those that are paying attention. But for everybody else, they're just hoping that it's just sub-renews that are just ticking. And they're in a state of not wanting to move forward. They're not wanting to improve. They're not wanting to grow. Well, they're wanting to just be stable.
Well, and I think that at the same time of when we were talking about them, we were also pointing out that they had just been acquired by AMC, and we were saying you need to take this chance. You only got one shot at this. And
was that was after Oshinoko season 1? No, that was before Oshinoko season 1, right? Because that was 2022, right? I think that was in 2022.
Something like that.
When was Oshinoko season 1? I want to say Oshinoko season 1 was probably 2023. Yeah, 2023. So that was after. So I would assume that with Oshinoko, at least that was an AMC injection of money there. Like, go get it.
Probably.
Not that I think Oshinoko costed much. It was just more of a surprise that Oshinoko went to HiDive and not to Crunchyroll, because Crunchyroll is very familiar with that writer. Kaguya-sama Love is War is a I'm not sure if it's like one of their biggest properties. It's very successful. It's very popular. I mean, at least with like MAL numbers and stuff like that, Kaguya-sama Love War is huge. And I think that it does well for Crunchyroll specifically because they do advertise it a lot. They do put it on billboards. They do talk about it. They tweet about it, say how great it is and all this kind of stuff. They do celebrate Kaguya-sama's Love is War. I think they did theatrical showings of the movie, ? Anyways, they should know who this writer is. They should be familiar with them. And again, technically, the anime itself of Oshinoko is Shueisha. It's Kadokawa that are producers for it. They know what this property is, so why did they sleep on it? Unless HiDive's offered a good amount of money and they're like, that's fine. Go ahead. The money's still coming to us. Part of that money is still coming to us either way. It just feels weird. I will say, though, now, but again, my whole point here is to really say that I hope HiDive's not just falling asleep, just letting it autopilot until it dies.
I hope not. We really need a competitor.
I want them to compete. Because, again, it goes back to that statement that I made earlier with the producers of Kadokawa that's saying that, nobody's bidding on this stuff no more. Crunchyroll's being stingy now. And then it goes back to the whole subtitles and the issues with, potential inshitification happening, dialing back, laying off workers. It feels like they don't care anymore because they have the stronghold. And I don't buy the whole idea that Netflix and Disney and Hulu is competition.
No.
Source, bro, Kadokawa producer. I've seen a comment made like that. It's like, no, these are competition. No. According to a producer of anime properties, They're not competition.
And there, I would say that if
It's
you're
like
if you think,
Nintendo and the other consoles.
Exactly.
That's how I describe. That's how I describe the situation with like Hulu and Netflix. Hulu, Netflix, they're like the Nintendo of the anime industry in the terms of game console wars, where like PlayStation and Xbox, they're like Crunchyroll and HiDive. They're competing with each other, and everybody's fighting over which one's better. Whereas Nintendo's over here just doing their own thing. That's like Netflix, Hulu, and them. They're just getting one or two shows that, in a lot of cases, they're directly involved with, but they're just throwing maybe one or two shows on their platform a season. Now, HiDive's becoming that.
I would say, consider it this way: if you think that those two are competitors, if you take into consideration everything that we've kind of talked about as far as how Netflix is doing things, Netflix doesn't really care about the show. They pretty much just go, plop, here's a bunch of money, make me a show.
Content.
And that's it. They're not going out there and bidding against, hey, I want that show.
Exactly.
They're saying, boom, here, have money, give me show. And they don't care. And so when you have HiDive and Crunchyroll, they're actually saying, hey, we've got all these shows. Which ones do you want? I want that one. Okay, this one is going to cost this much at least. And then they go, okay, well, we'll give you this much if you give us that content. And then HiDive comes in and says, oh yeah, well, I'll put in this much. And then they have a bid war. That's how your competition should be working. And it's not working that way with the other companies. Disney doesn't care either. They're just like, yeah, here, make me a show that'll make me money.
I think the best the way to see this is that when we're saying competition, when we're saying the idea of Crunchyroll having a monopoly, it's really in terms of that aspect, the pipeline of funding to Japan and the anime industry. The competition itself is not existent between Crunchyroll, Netflix, and Hulu or / Disney. They're not competing, like you say. They're not bid warring each other. Netflix, in a lot of cases, they just have somebody they talk to and they're like, yeah, we want to throw a couple bucks at this, or do you want, in a lot of cases, they want to be involved with the production itself, and that's how they get the shows they want. Yeah, there are going to probably be some cases where they talk to somebody directly. But with what we wanted HiDive to be, and I hope somebody else steps up here soon, shoot, Ocean Vale. Let's do it. You started getting the naughty shows, let's start getting everything. I think Ocean Vale, not that I really want to promote Ocean Vale too much because of how freaking expensive they are, but hey, if we can create competition, sometimes it's going to hurt your wallet. If you want to put your money where you want it, go with a company that potentially could just be not giving a crap about what they show on the screen. Ocean Vale sounds like it could be it. Ocean Vale, get a hold of me. Let's talk about if we can get you starting to juice up and get out there. Let's get you in some investors that have no strings attached, and let's push. But anyways.
Crunchyroll used to be that way.
But the whole idea here is to create a competition, a bidding war. Again, to that Katakawa producer. There's not happening anymore. Why is he saying that? Because when we talk about this spread of shows, like you said, when Crunchyroll comes up and HiDive comes up, they both eyeball the same thing. They both raise an eyebrow. Netflix is over there talking to some guy on the side of the street to pick up a title real quick. He's not over here at the table with all the spread of shows. And Crunchyroll and HiDive, for a while, were kind of struggling with each other. In most cases, Crunchyroll's outbidding them, but what was it doing? It was letting Crunchyroll know that if I don't pick this up, HiDive will. Now Crunchyroll doesn't fear that anymore. They don't care. They don't care because they know HiDive is going to pick up 2 shows, not going to be a problem. And I guess the other example of the idea of the monopoly and competition here is that whenever a season airs, how many shows does Netflix get? How many shows does Hulu get? How many shows does Disney get? How many shows does Crunchyroll get? HiDive used to get
and this
8 or 10 shows at some point. They were getting pretty loaded in a season. Now they got nothing. And I hate it because I do know that this bothers a lot of people because that's the other thing to its death is the fact that they pulled out of all these regions.
And that's what we were talking about before of this is a soft monopoly where they actually can influence the production of the shows.
Yeah.
That where
You have to make your show
the way that we
likable
want it,
like Crunchyroll. Yeah.
the way we want it. Otherwise, we don't buy it, because now they have all the power. They have all the now on the bright side, that not to make everybody all
Chris
all,
could be positive.
Kind of pessimistic, is that your producers in Japan seem to be. I mean, we've got hints that there's politicians that are jumping up and saying, "Hey, no, you can't do this, and we're not going for that." So, I mean, that's on the bright side, but at the same time, they still technically have the keys to the Americas, which that's where it's frustrating.
See, that's the other side of it. It's like when I see that comment made by that producer of like Katakawa, I've seen some other ones as well. It's like, it's one of those ones where you kind of want to nudge them and say, you know, why don't you guys contact HiDive and try to keep them around?
Yeah.
Why don't you give them a bundle deal? We need to inject into a company. It doesn't have to be HiDive, by the way, for those that hate HiDive, because again, I think most people hate HiDive. I think a majority of the like constructive feedback that I got about this whole situation is the fact that they're just not available. I'm in this country and they pulled out of our country. No, I don't like them, because unfortunately, nobody else is going to license it. If I think there's a situation where HiDive, when they get the license, nobody else, Crunchyroll won't get the rest of it. I don't think Crunchyroll will get regions out. Unless Crunchyroll can get worldwide license, they won't touch it. Because I don't think HiDive is paying to get worldwide anymore. I think they're just licensing for certain regions. I could be wrong. They could totally be locking Crunchyroll out of having other regions. Anyways, any company. Ocean Vale. Again, we'll go to Ocean Vale. I'm not sure how available Ocean Vale is. They need to work with these companies to produce that competition. Give those deals. If you have to cut a little bit, you'll boost up that company. That way they'll get stronger, and then they can come back and they'll bid war you. You're basically investing in another company. Work with these people. Kind of a weird
backwards investing, but yeah. It's investing.
I would really say my only real hope anymore is probably Amazon. It seems like Amazon's getting more. I don't necessarily have too much problem with Amazon. They technically did prove their worth with, I think, Panty and Stocking. The fact that they aired new Panty and Stocking tells me that they... And this could change if some controversy, you know, if somebody catches that, oh, they had new Panty and Stocking on there with what they had on that strain. Oh my gosh. Amazon will take it down, because I'm very aware that Amazon has had controversies in the past with censorship, but they at least proved something with new Panty and Stocking, and they're hella big in Japan. They literally have like all the shows in Japan. Like, why not just open up that region floodgate and let it just flow right out? I know, again, licensing, whatever, but all I can think of right now is hopefully that Amazon will keep growing. Because again, it's not that I want people to have multiple subs. It's just that I think that is the only way that you can keep really one company in check.
Yeah.
I just don't... I would love for Crunchyroll to never make mistakes. I would love for them to love anime as much as I do and never make mistakes and never censor things and never have problems in the future. I don't trust them that much.
Yep, they corporatized.
The new Crunchyroll, I don't trust them anymore. Mm-mm. I think, and I want to say it's probably have to do with the Funimation leadership getting in there. Because I've never been too fond of Funimation's leadership. And I think a lot of the problems that I've heard, and yes, some cases of insider statements, employees that could potentially just be mad, a lot of it seems to stem around not liking the new leadership of Funimation being in their doors. Like they kind of mess with something. I don't know. Not that I entrust Amazon even more, and not that I trust AMC. It all sucks. In the end, all these companies suck. I think I came to agreement on that myself at some point about the whole situation. They all suck. It's just finding a balance, really. But I think Ocean Co. going to Crunchyroll is like freaking huge. That felt like a death knell to HiDive. we at least know that HiDive's going to be around until fall of 2026 because they already announced they're going to be streaming Reincarnated as a Sword second season. So the Sword Dotaru, My Dotaru's a Cat Girl Sword Guy show will be on their platform. Potentially, I mean, they could sub-license it out, shut down the site, sub-license the stuff out. But I do hope, I said this on my video and I'll say it here again, I do hope HiDive, Crunchyroll, both of you come together, get season 1 and 2 Oshinoko over Crunchyroll. Please don't do this whole thing where I'm going to have to tell people to watch it on HiDive for the first 2 seasons and then go over Crunchyroll. Now, for a lot of people, that's probably really easy if they're in a region that's available because they could just get a free trial, watch the whole show, and then go over to Crunchyroll. But I don't want this whole, like, Utawadamono, not Kage-sama, Tizemaster to Kage-san. I think that's on, like, 3 platforms. Utawadamono is on 3 I think Utawadamono is only 2 platforms, but still, it's stupid. It's stupid. Anyways, I think that's all the news I have. You have any news?
Not really.
I went right into it. Anything else to discuss? Have you been enjoying... You haven't started the new season yet, have you?
Yes, I have.
You have. That's right, because you said that you're watching Grieving Soul Retires.
Yeah, of course.
Got to jump right on that one. The first episode felt like...
it felt
weird.
It did feel weird. It was kind of this weird...
weird flashback
I think
kind of thing.
I don't think it was so much of a flashback. It was just giving Tina's perspective on her start, basically. So it was kind of felt like a flashback, but
the whole
it wasn't.
4:3 ratio thing. I hate that. I'm sorry. Can we stop that? Can we stop that? It makes me feel old. It's so funny because like one of those things where the people working on the projects are old enough to know 4:3 ratio, but it is one of those things that every time I see 4:3 ratio, I just know that there's people that I would assume anybody that is younger than 20 years old have no clue what that is. Like, why is there bars on the right and left side? What is this for? Why would they do that? Why is it tunnel vision? Like, am I looking at a hallway or something like that, or a corner of it? Anyways, stop. It doesn't give me a feeling of like
It's better than the bars on the top and bottom,
or the whole decayed film feel to it, like the dirty film with the like little fragments and whatnot in it. It's like, do we even know what that is anymore? It sucks. It sucks. I had a realization moment the other day when I realized I seen this video of college students talking about 9/11 and what it's about, and I'm like, I don't even blame these guys because it dawned on me that happened like 4 years before they were even born.
Yeah.
God, I feel old.
Right.
It's a you feel old moment. Oh my gosh, I still remember that day so freaking vividly.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get into summer. Summer has concluded. It has come to an end. I have, thankfully, I did my top 10, I think last week. And I was like, thank God, I'm done with that season. Now, granted, I still need to watch. I still need to finish Mumu. And one other show, I think Witch Watch I haven't finished actually technically yet, so I'm not sure if I will.
So did you want to talk about some of the new shows?
No, that's for next week.
You want to do that next week?
First I want you to save that stuff. I want you active in our next one because we're going to talk about some shows. No, we're going to talk about summer first. Which show? Call the Night. You said that you didn't finish the last episode, and I'm like, that's fine because literally half the episode's original. I actually watched the episode and I'm like, this feels off. And I read the manga and I'm like, oh, that's why. Like only like the first 10 minutes is, I think it was the first 10 minutes or 7 minutes. The rest was original, which is fine because it felt like a wrap up. It felt like a wrap up kind of situation. But what'd you think of Call of Night season 2? Was that did that one work for you? I was very happy with how I feel like the writing evolved. I'm not sure if you got the same vibe.
I liked it. I didn't much care for the beginning of it. When we started going into the big reveal and getting into
the moment Anko shows up in the street, let's say that. I think the moment that Anko shows up, I'm like, somebody just took the table like this
and flipped it,
and then stabbed somebody several times up in the air. Flipped the table, took the knife off the table.
And I in some ways I hated the kind of angsty feel of the we got to fix this problem, and it was like, okay, this is so in a way it's kind of very shonen, you know, I can make a friend out of everybody type thing, but I like the feel that they did with this one. Yeah.
Ko's little thing.
Yeah. I like the feel of what they did with this. Does that make sense?
There's a coolness about it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like. There's a point in which the whole situation. I don't think it's too much spoiler here, but the whole situation is that Anko wants to kill the vampires. I mean, we know that from first season.
Yeah.
The idea here is that Ko gets involved with vampires because he meets Nazuna, and he doesn't want to go out during the day and go to school, so he just spends all his night at night with the vampires. And he wants to become a vampire, but he has to fall in love with Nazuna before she can turn him. With the second season, it's this detective who we find out later on why she hates him so much, wants to kill all the vampires. And she reveals how she's going to do that. And that kind of, I think it's really clever to kind of force us to have to see the history of each of these vampires.
Right.
Like, it forces us to have to get their backstories because they have to figure it out. I love that whole, like, instinctual forgetting of it, too, which I thought was kind of clever. But why I said I like it, and I know where you're getting at with that whole thing, is, like, the whole thing about Ko almost very shonen in the idea of like, no, don't hurt the detective. I want everybody to be friends. What I liked about it was what he told Nico, is the idea of like, I like that he basically realized through spending time with the vampires that they are very much like humans.
Right.
And that it's almost like a thing of it's almost, he's not saying this, but it's almost an aspect of don't shatter that. You guys don't actually want to hurt them.
Right.
And she thought that was an insult. You don't want to hurt nobody. You wouldn't hurt people. No, we would. No, you don't. You're actually much more like humans than you give credit to. He knows these vampires more than they know themselves in some cases, which is funny how they have to go to Anko later on about that stuff. But it's I thought it was cool. I know it's cheesy, and I thought it was cheesy too.
And that's what I was saying. I like the twist that they put on it.
Yeah,
it's funny because in some ways it was kind of angsty from Ko. This almost, I have to do this. I have to save her. I got to do this. But at the same time, I like their twist on it. Of it was, I mean, even in the end when it became that the big kind of moment between Nazuna, Anko, and Ko, and Ko was looking at Nazuna, and he's like, no, you don't want to do this. This is your friend. And at the same time, Anko's going through her kind of moment, and Nazuna's like, please don't make me do this. And there's this kind of trio that was kind of forcing this moment. Yeah. And I really liked the twist, and it made it much more of a payoff than pretty much any of the shonens that we've ever watched, where it's kind of just this, I can beat the crap out of you, and then we'll be best friends forever.
My Hero Academia moment here. No, what I was saying earlier is I think that, and I don't know if you agree with it, I do think that, you may have answered this, I do think that from season 1 to season 2, I think the writing has dramatically improved. Because I think the season 1, most of the time is kind of spent with him just meeting people. He's just meeting random people and sort of, and it's a lot to do with introducing the other vampires. But like, it felt like, you know, he meets with somebody, finds out their problems, and then like they have a self-reflection moment. The lady, the office worker that's like struggling with her boss, and she's got anxiety to his phone calls, and how she sort of wants to enjoy life again. And I like that whole welcome her into the street thing, where it's like, no, we don't walk into the street. And it's like, no, come on, do it. It's like, you can still do it even at your age. You can still be a kid kind of thing.
I think in a way I wouldn't necessarily say that the writing's better. I think that it was all done,
it's more focused to a story plot line. Like before, it felt like almost episodic in a way, even though it does again get into Seri and all the other vampires at the end of the first season. This season was like, once Anko gets on the stage, it's like, we're going to talk about Anko, we're going to talk about all these vampires and really dig into the character stories and get it all sussed out kind of thing.
I would think that I would kind of put it more along the lines of the first season was very atmospheric, which I think that we were kind of implying that before. Whereas this one, it gave it so much time to breathe in that first season that this season, when everything started kind of pulling together, you really felt a weight because you had time to kind of enjoy each one of these characters and get to know them in a different way. Whereas if all of this was kind of shoved into that first season, I don't think that any of those characters would have had the same amount of weight.
I think, I don't know, because I feel like most all of them, especially Kabata, I didn't really care about Kabata. Didn't really care so much about Hatsuka. I think Seri was the only one they really got into in the first season that I had any care for.
Well, yes, because a lot of those characters
But
were
Kabata,
a lot of those characters were background characters.
yeah,
But
Kabata, I fell in love with this season.
yeah, you had time to get to know them. Whereas in this season, it was like, okay, now
They were kind of playing up the vampires as being a potential threat in the first season. Let's be honest, because it was really kind of getting the idea of like, Ko, you have to turn within a year, otherwise
Right.
we got to get rid of you, kind of thing. And then this season's like, okay, now they're all buddies, and it gives a sense of like how they want to pull Nazuna in their group, and I got a sense of that in the first season, but like with this season especially, it's like these are like the sisters, like they want you to be a part of it, kind of. Come on, girl. But no, Kabata, I think, besides the mysterious other characters that shall not be named that they got into with this season, I think Kabata was easily like my favorite character of this season. I mean, Anko, yeah, I think Anko's story was like super freaking heartbreaking, but Kabata, dude, best mama. That's all I can say. Kabata, best mama, best mommy right there, dude. I absolutely loved Kabata this season because again, I didn't really have a care for her in the first season. And again, a majority of this season as well, until they actually did pretty much go to the hospital and get her backstory. That was like, wow, I didn't know they were. I had a feeling like when they first got to the hospital that she was doing something there potentially for Nazuna, but it wasn't until they got into her story where I'm like, oh, this hurts and I love her at the same time, dude. It's like, because it gave a sense of like how she didn't want to keep going. Like, there's a lot of that this season. My gosh, there's a lot of characters that just do not want to continue on. And it's like, stop. But yeah, that her not wanting to continue on and seemingly having some sort of anchor, I think is really what we kind of experienced with the later parts of her story. It's too good. It was too good. I loved it. I loved it too much. But yeah, I do appreciate they still kept the quality up, the aesthetic. Because I think that was something they nailed with the first season. Leading Films did. Yeah. That the night lights, that the tone, the coloring, and all that kind of stuff is just so good. I think the only part that I was kind of miffed on was the fight in the school courtyard. It's just like it felt like they didn't want to animate anything, so they just freaking lens flare like crazy. I'm like, okay, I like the night lights, but not right now. Stop. It was like constantly like these big red blurs, and like it was literally like you're looking down at a courtyard and you know something's happening, but for some reason a bunch of flying cars keep turning and pointing their high beams at you from different directions. It's like, I want to see what's happening in the courtyard, but there's all these lights shining in my eyes. It wasn't that bad, but it was kind of annoying. I would have figured that you'd probably flip your lid over that whole thing, because didn't you not, like, was it
if you bring up
it's not
Studio Kara or
Gohan's, yeah,
if you bring that up,
they have crazy crazy flares. What was it? Not Handshakers. I think Handshakers probably did it too, but the one after that, they got that was just like the lights beams things, not like these massive glowing balls that fly at your eyes. Anyways, the other thing I would give misgiving for, because again, I did technically look in the manga at certain points reading up to this point. The other thing that I'm kind of miffed about is the character that pops up in that classroom, which is up on the screen there. She got completely cut out of the second season. She's supposed to be present. You remember when they had the whole Halloween festival and he goes to the festival with Akira?
Yes.
He didn't go with Akira. He went with Lita.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We did see her because Anko saves her, and that's in the manga too. But then she meets up with Ko and they start walking around. And then they all run into all the different people, which is great because we get to see Akira in the maid outfit, which was hilarious because Midori's like, Deka, you told me to put it on, Deka. Stop saying things. Midori's great. Did you like LG?
Yes.
I was surprised how much I liked him. I was like, oh, here's the otaku character. Here we go. He's actually pretty cool.
He's got a very, very important treasure.
He is literally the trope manga anime fan otaku.
Perfect. And that's one of the things.
He's like this mad respect that he has for Midori-sama kind of thing going for it. I love it. And she doesn't want anybody else to meet him because she's afraid they'll take him away. They'll fall in love with him and steal him. I'm like, yeah, they probably will because even with Nazada and Ko, they're like, this guy's so freaking cool.
It's one of those things that, I mean, just taking into consideration the tropes that we're kind of pointing out, that they're kind of not necessarily I don't want to say that they're deconstructing them, but they're adjusting them in a way that makes it work for this show. And Anko is an excellent example of a detective that she's very overpowered. I mean, when you first see her, she just comes off as super overpowered. And when she's doing the last battle, if you want to call it that, she's actually showing all of her flaws all at one time. You're going, oh, she actually is human. She just has been able to pull this off really well. And so I love how it's really kind of,
it's all up here,
yeah,
Chris.
It's really playing with those.
There's a version
Nico,
there.
yeah, Nico being this kind of sensei type character, or as Andrew brought up, this mother character in Kabara. All these characters, while they have their the first impressions that they give to you, when they start digging into these characters, you go, oh, hey, this is a little bit more complex than we originally thought. LG is an excellent example. You walk in, you see those characters walk into that first room, you're like, okay, otaku character, let's go, let's get it all over with. And he's just laying it out, and he's just thick with all the neat tropes and everything like that. And then all of a sudden he's like, but this, and you're like, oh, cool. you pulled that off.
He's super nice. He's such a good guy. That's like I said. I was like, even later on, they'd mentioned the fact of like, when are you gonna bring over your first offspring? And she's like, never gonna bring it over. You're gonna steal away. And they're like, oh, we're kind of interested now. Yeah, he was cool though. I liked him. But yeah, it was. I think the only thing that was kind of a little bit of a misgiving was the fact that they kind of teased the whole situation with Kiku, and then just they're gonna put that over here. They totally boxed it in the river, like our old statement there. Like, we're just gonna put it in the box. We're gonna put it over here. Just gonna over there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, well, Kiku, we're gonna bring up Kiku. I kind of wonder if Kiku was the one that was in that flashback. I don't know why, because they haven't implied that Kiku. They imply that Kiku is sort of outside of their group, but not that she did anything wrong. It feels like she's messing with somebody, but the problem is that I don't know that she necessarily fits the bill about what happened with the whole situation in the past, because that was effed up. It implied, I mean, it doesn't imply the vampire caused it, which caused Anko to hate them so much, and it could have been simply a "that's mine, stay away from it" kind of attack, not necessarily a, don't get involved or anyway. I don't know. I don't know if it was implied it was still Kiku, and if it's just more of, I think it's more of the fact that we're just not going to get Kiku until season 3. Please. It took so long to get season 2. I don't even know if we're going to get season 3 anytime soon. At least at the very end in the last episode, they did include the hook into the next part, which is that Ko wants to help now. He literally says, I want to help her out with this whole situation with her past. I want to give her closure, basically, which I thought Ko this season, dude. I do really like Ko this season. What he's basically saying there is that she's she may be able to move on, but I don't want those years to be a waste. That's the key thing. She might be able to move on, but she's always going to remember that those years were a waste. I want to give her that closure. That way that 10 years has a bookend to it. Like that last chapter was wrote. Good, it's done. Now I can move on and not feel like that was this gap that I'll never get back. Which I thought was really cool. Koga boy. But no, I really loved it. Really love the backstories of Anko, Nazuna, Kabuto. It's all great. So hopefully another season. How long did it take us before we got another season announcement on that? I want to say it wasn't the night. I want to say that it was like a gap before the announcement even happened, and the show came around pretty quickly. Because this is, what am I looking at? Season 2. We already know that. We know that one. Summer. Season 1 was 2022. So that's a 3-year gap.
Yeah.
3-year gap. I don't know. That's not
seems like
too
we just watched
huge.
that just a couple seasons ago.
I guess technically 3 years is not that big of a gap. It's not like a One Punch Man gap. At least it looks good still. Anyways, you didn't watch Secret of the Silent Witch. That sort of bums me out, but I think you mentioned that. I'm not going to go too much detail here, but I do love Secret of the Silent Witch. It's in my top 10 of the season. I really did love Secret of the Silent Witch, but it was one of those ones where like there was one element that I loved about it, and I don't think I was like clamoring to get you to watch it. But I did appreciate the show a lot. I did really enjoy it. For those who don't know what Secret of the Silent Witch is, it follows a girl named Monica, and she went to this one academy to train in magic, but she's got like crippling like anxiety around other people. Enough that, and the problem with that is that when she went to their exams, she couldn't cast spells, which you have to chant and say the spell, the formula to create the spell. And since she couldn't do that during the exams, a friend of hers kind of mentioned to her, well, learn how to shorten your casting. That way you don't have to talk as much in front of the professors and stuff. This girl goes off and figures out how to do chantless casting. Not to shorten it. She learns how to do chantless, which is unheard of. And then proceeds to go out there and ace exams and everything. It catches the attention of the this like exams to join the 7 sages, which there's 7 sages up in this kingdom that are like the highest of the mages ever. And she ends up getting recruited into them. She doesn't actually do anything. They imply that she doesn't actually even do anything at the exam. She ends up passing out in front of all the examiners for this 7 sages, and they still pass her. I kind of wondered if she casted a spell while she was unconscious. Anyways, but yeah, she becomes one of the 7 sages, and then pretty much locks herself up in a cabin somewhere. But then eventually one of the other 7 sages comes to her and recruits her to protect a prince. And because she looks very young, that she'll fit right in at the academy, sends her off to the academy, and now she has to secretly watch this prince and protect him from danger. Why I like this show so much is because I don't necessarily think like the whole protecting the prince stuff and the prince himself and some of the people that come to attack the prince, I don't really necessarily think a lot of that stuff is that interesting or very deep. What I loved about this show and why it was in my top of the season is Monica. I think she is a phenomenally wrote character. She's a Bocchi character. I think I've mentioned this before. She's very much like a Tori Bocchi, Bocchi the Rock type of character. Very like goofy with her expressions and hiding from people and overly exaggerating her fear and all that kind of stuff. Like she is a little mouse that just is terrified all the time. What I loved about how they did with her character is, one, her backstory is, it makes sense why she is the way she is because her backstory is screwed up. Like, in comparisons to how I don't really feel like most of the current time stuff is that dark, her backstory is kind of screwed up and dark. But it gives a reason why she is the way she is, but then, like, seeing how they're taking the character from episode 1 and to what we've gotten to so far with episode 13, it has been a very thoughtful progress of her character while having moments of stumbling. Like, it's not like she's not a light switch character, but you can see her growing. Like, it goes from like I'm being forced to go to this academy because I'm supposed to watch this prince, and I don't know, I'm gonna get caught. I'm afraid of getting caught. I hope I don't get caught. To at some point that she has to be reminded that you're here as because you're one of the seven sages. You remember that, right? Like at some point she enjoys her time there and she's getting to know people and she's loving her time around these people, that somebody has to remind her you have a job to do. You remember that, right? Stop getting caught up in this other stuff. And the fact that somebody like her that's so afraid of social interactions is able to get lost in those interactions is so good. It's so good. I think Monica, like, I have to think about it. I think she's probably, if not one of my favorite characters of the season. Like, she's so good. I mean, yeah, you can go with like Takabi's Original Sin and get into those crazy in-depth character, you know, deep dives right there. But this one was just doing a really good job of that, and I think it looks great. She kind of reminds me of Norn Greyrat. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the OP, right? Mm-mm. Like I cut that OP and I'm like, this literally looks like Norn at the Academy, and I literally cut it and I put on X as like, this reminds me of like if you had a Mushoku Tensei Norn University arc, like it looks like her. It looks like Norn. Of course, Norn's not throwing spells like that. Norn ain't got the magical powers of Monica. That's for damn sure. It needed more Isabel though. The ringlets girl, she had a really good moment though. My gosh, she had a really good moment. No, I'm thinking of Lana. Lana had so many good moments. Lana was easily probably like best girl outside of Monica. Lana was great. But no, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully we get another season of that. Let's talk on Nukitashi, Chris. You pulled it off. Oh, did you get a chance to watch Takabi?
No, not yet.
In the end? Okay, not yet. I like that. I like that. Y'all, I gotta say it. He said, what'd he say? Yeah. Anyways, Nukitashi. For those who know what Nukitashi is about, it's about a guy that is returning back to his home, like the island where he was born. Going back there with his sister, because things happened. And he doesn't want to go back there because this island has this enacted law called the perverted law, which this law pretty much requires everybody of legal age that you have to be willing to and will have sex with other people. Like there's no saying no to people, basically. If you got it equipped, you're having it. You can't do it with yourself all the time. It's mostly the opposite sex kind of thing like that. It is opposite sex. But yeah, he goes back to this island and immediately we get the introduction of like this whole like insane society. Like they're walking down the street and literally everybody just banging the street. It's just like it's happening everywhere. Now the problem is that he is of the belief that it should only be between people that are in love. That love, it should only be with the person that you love. And he also has the other problem that his sister is kind of a semi-neat. His sister only likes girls, so she's not welcome in the society either. So it kind of turns this whole thing where he wants to fight back against this society, fight back against this law. He ends up finding this underground organization or this underground facility and gets contacted by this person that made the underground facility in order to give him resources to fight against this law, rise up and fight against it. And he's joined by other individuals such as Nanase, who she is supposedly like the biggest bee of the entire, like this girl's loose as heck. Like everybody thinks that she is like the person that just has like these relay races at night, basically. I'm choosing my words carefully here. I had so much fun covering this show on a weekly basis, by the way, but I did a lot of nyas. I don't want to do a lot of nyas here. A lot of my nyas sound effects. There's Hinami, she looks like a lolly. Like she looks like she's underage, and thus nobody wants to touch her because it's against the law still. Then you have Misaki, which she claims she's too fat, thus nobody likes her. She got a little chub there. But I got the impression, and it's weird that they never confirmed it. I got the impression she just has zero presence because it feels like she sneaks up on people.
Yeah.
But yeah, this group of people come together to make NLNS, which is no love, no sex, and they go out and fight against the perverted law, and shenanigans happened. So what was your final? Was this a good job, Andrew, for suggesting this, or was this like I have to make sure to constantly look over my shoulder who walks in the room?
As a connoisseur of the ecchi, would have to say this is probably one of the best. Unfortunately, this one is probably in the category of you might as well just make it into a daggum hentai and be done with it.
It was pretty much an H, though, wasn't it? Like, what? I mean, it doesn't show. It showed everything that would normally show with an H. I mean, of course, again, even with like an H, that stuff is typically mosaic. This one, just they put a sticker on it instead. But outside of that, you had, I guess you did technically have, I think every single episode had some banging happening.
Yeah,
was there a single episode that didn't have?
Yeah,
yeah. So I guess in the regards of the main character being involved in the act, but that's sort of the story.
And that's the thing is it felt like in
it's an H with a plot.
Yeah, it was like they were trying in the process of trying so hard to keep him pure. It kind of it was one of those. I would much rather it had been over here on this side and just went a little bit farther with a lot of the situations. I guess in a way of what I would kind of have said. It was good ecchi. It was definitely good ecchi.
Semi spoilers here. I think the moment that he gets forced upon at the festival, I thought that they were gonna like take the gloves off at that point. Like, okay, it happened. Let's just keep doing it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like we're still avoiding this. we're still like really actively avoiding this. But that's the story. He doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Again, NLS. He wants that to be the thing. That's what's been driven in his head. But no, I agree with you. But it's like it's a Roge visual novel adaptations. It's not really an H. It's not really ecchi. It's just something that doesn't really hold anything back, and it's existing there, but it's not going for that. I guess the best way to put it. It's not going for an H, but it has it in it, and it's not afraid to show it.
Yeah.
It's not its focus. It's just an atmosphere.
I mean, in all honesty, I mean, I mean, I loved a lot of the characters on the other side of the aisle. I mean, I like a lot of the characters on
Ray's great, dude. Ray's big
I loved a lot of the characters on the other side. They were just fantastic. And it's one of the funny things. It just. I kind of just more liked the characters. I mean, Nanase was easily my favorite character. She was fantastic. I absolutely love how much she was just at some point they all thought I was, and I just played into it because nobody wanted to touch me because of it. So I went with it. So I was like,
I just got done last night with a relay, so I can't really work right now. Oh, okay. Wow. She's so crazy. No, I love the fact that, every time somebody spots her, she doesn't even have a disguise on. They're like, it can't be her. There's no way that she would be on their side. It's like, she doesn't even have to wear a costume. She doesn't have to wear he has a whole glasses thing, which is stupid that they don't recognize him. It's a whole Superman thing, but she never literally ever has to disguise herself.
No, it was the shape in the pants that gave him away. And that's how they figured it out.
God scan. The magical rod scan. That was absurd. That was absolutely absurd. They have the technology to scan the inside of her to find it. No, I loved Hinami early on, but then Ronrei kind of took the forefront with the whole him joining that side. I was like, I love Rei too much. She's so freaking cool. But no, it's like Hinami unfortunately kind of just turned more into the I am not a lolly joke every 2 seconds, and it's like they didn't really do much with her after that. Once they joined the group, they just didn't really do much with them. No, I think the thing that, and this is gonna be funny. I know people are gonna laugh at this. I think the greatest thing about this show, and this goes to the point earlier about the whole it's not a H kind of thing. That's technically a good thing because, a lot of people would joke about the idea that H's their focus isn't really a story. It's typically a girl gets captured and then banged until she, accepts, or it's guy likes girl, but then she gets captured by a guy and bangs him until they accept. It's it's usually to a basic concept. I mean, there's some oddities. I would more equate this to something like Kite. It's more something like that, but a more longer running series rather than just a movie. It's its primary focus is still technically a story, but I think for the most part, this is a comedy, absurd scenario play out. It's the reverse Shimonetta. But I like that because what I was very surprised by is how, even though it's absurd and it makes fun of it constantly, there is technically some really cool stories in here that I wasn't really expecting. It's taking the concept of this absurd idea of a society that you have to bang, and then turning it into basically a corporate power grab. Like, this guy wants power using people's desires, their physical desires. But then when it gets into like Tachibana and his backstory and his original like trauma that he's facing with, this guy literally cannot perform because he was made fun of when he was younger. And oh yeah, by the way, there's another reason why he can't perform, and it's where he literally did something that was unspeakable, and then it just like spirals in from there. I'm like, this is actually real trauma and a really messed up like situation that a lot of these people are facing, but it also is willing to like, you know, turn 2 seconds later and make a joke out of, you know, minds or something like that. Like, that was like the most absurd thing. It was like the fact that he literally buried a whole bunch of rods underground and they all started shooting up at these girls. It's absurd.
He took the roots of lust to another level.
Yeah. It's absurd, and it's raunchy, and it's very adult, but I think there's some cases where you can kind of laugh at a lot of things and still kind of accept that it's kind of doing something very interesting. I felt like there was a lot of situations here where there's like technically very, very difficult subjects. Like, I mean, again, what happened to Jinosuke at this festival, it's like that's really rough right there. But then for them to be able to turn the next corner and say how he gets over it is like, it's the willingness to laugh at it that is sort of what is the recovery of the character, is the idea of it didn't count kind of thing. It's like the willingness to kind of laugh at a lot of this stuff is kind of bold. Again, technically Nanase and her acceptance of Jinosuke, even though what's happened between them, it's like there's a lot of this stuff that's kind of very difficult subject. Shoot, Toka. The origins of their like the origins of the FS is like, this is so screwed up. They're implying that she got involved in a lot of industries that are very kind of scummy, and then this is like their place of getting away from all that stuff and not being exploited. But then they're technically exploiting other people. It's like there is a deep-rooted mental trauma these characters are going through at a very young age, and a society that is warping their minds to sexuality and peanut joke. Like, that's why I love this show. It doesn't hold back. It's technically very clever with a lot of the characters and the stories, and it was enough that I actually cover the show on a weekly basis, and I don't think any other show with such a raunchy and ecchi type of concept I would really have that much to talk about. But it actually pulled it off. I mean, there was some week where it was literally like I'm laughing at the jokes. Yeah. But there was a lot of weeks where I'm like, wow, I actually have like a lot that I want to talk about with this episode, which is really cool. I really liked it. What was your funniest part? I mentioned my favorite's the mines. I really got a massive kick. I mean, the mines, and then right after that was the whole like ricocheting the rod off of the. She was sniping with the rods. Literally ricochets off the wall and stabs the lady. Then she ricochets it up in the other one. Like, how do you shoot those? She's like, I'm like, what is it, like a? Like, how do you re-equip that? It's like she's sticking this big old thing in the chamber. Oh my gosh, dude, that was wrong.
I don't know. I would have to say, if I'm going with anything, either the sports festival or the running across the bridge, the beach. One of those two were both really good for me. I like those.
I was let down by the sports festival because I thought they could have totally done like relays and the bike thing. It was the after scene in the hallway when he confronts Ray. That was pure comedy gold. I'm sorry, that was probably the best writing of the entire series.
I'm assuming you're talking about green hair, right?
No, Toka wasn't there. Ray was in the hallway when he was trying to go to plug in the USB. He had a USB device that was disguised as something else. Yeah, he was going to plug that in, and he runs into Ray, and he was trying to distract her while Misaki goes and plugs it in. And so he's like, what are you doing here? She's like, she asked what he's doing there, and he said something. I forget exactly what he's doing, like cleaning or whatever.
Looking for her.
And And then she goes to walk by him. He's like, hey, have sex with me right now. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm busy right now. Oh, so you won't? So you don't follow your own rules? She's like, oh, fine then, let's do it. And he's like, whoa, put it away. She's like, what are you talking about? Whatever, I'm out of here. He's like, no. And he starts talking in third person for his unit. And she's like, why are you talking like him? And why are you speaking like he's royalty? What, you think my thing is royalty now? It's like, it was the stupidest conversation. I loved it so freaking much. The two of them were just gold. And then, yes, Misaki comes out with the USB shoved in there. And then later on, the conversation, that episode was brilliant, by the way. Afterwards, when he meets up with Misaki later on, he's like, well, did you get the USB device plugged in there? Oh, yeah, 1 second. And she has to yank it out because she hit it by shoving it all the way in. Otherwise, Ray would have seen it. And he's like, wow, you put it all the way in there? He's like, yeah, when I was younger, I got a figure stuck up inside there. Like a full-scale figure, she got stuck up inside there. And I had to go to the hospital to get it removed. And she said that the doctor, he said, so what happened in reference to, did you plug it in? She thinks that she's talking about the doctor. And she's like, oh, the doctor says he never wants to see something like that again, or never wants to see a scale figure again or something like that. I'm like, this is like the stupidest conversations. I love this stuff so much. Okay, you corrected me. I think that scene was way better than the mine scene.
Yeah, that's not the scene I was talking about, but that's all right.
I did get a kick out of the whole like before segment of that whole thing, and the cheer squad, Hooray!
I mean, I get what you're saying. They could have done so much more with the sports festival.
Yeah, I'm
but
thinking like
I was thinking more along the lines of the Nanase and Jinosuke kind of interplay during that time frame. That's what I was talking about. I liked that.
You just like the zappy stuff. You're into the zappy stuff. No, it's like when I was thinking of the festival, because they were going to the festival, and so I'm thinking like not all week, but like doing my impressions beforehand the week before, I'm like, oh wow, they could do so much with this festival. Like I'm thinking of all your usual festival stuff, like the relay races, the sack races, grabbing the food off of the thing. They could have totally put like, I don't know, rods up on the thing and they have to grab them or whatever. Like they could have done some really crazy stuff, but it was like most of the stuff was like, oh, well, not just say it's not going to be involved because of technicality. Not say it's not going to get involved because of technicality. Every time that they got called up there, people would be afraid, like, oh, we can't compete with Nanase. And then they just leave, and it's like, then she doesn't get to compete. Like, you're not going to do any of this stuff? Like, they decided to, like, cop out of all of it. It was fine, though. Anyways, it was good stuff. I really enjoyed the entire season of it. Enjoyed dodging YouTube that entire time, dude. Like every time I posted a video was like, it was always like a gamble. I really only had one of my videos where it was really finicky about the not copyright, the content of it. And I think it was the thumbnail. I think my whole problem with it was just literally the thumbnail. Because I did a pretty good job of just like nyan the hell out of it, which was so funny because like half the people watching, well, not half the people, like there was a group of people that watched my videos that hated the nyas. Like every single time I said something inappropriate, because I just wanted to record and just say stuff. And then it was kind of to add a little bit of extra fun to have me literally have it censored with the nya noise. And there was people like, stop with the stupid nya sound effect. It sounds stupid. Just, you know what you could say on here or not. And I'm like, the whole point was that people like it because it's funny, and now I got people saying it's not funny and it's annoying, and it's like, we don't even know what you're saying. It's like, you watch the episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. If I say he literally buried a bunch of nya mines, you know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, do you need me to say it? Does the nya make you go, what does he talk about? There was a mine in the show? Hello? Anyways. It was good stuff, though. Nukitashi, really, really good stuff there. Did you want to talk about the new Saga at all? Just give your quick, unless you have some really like deep discussion you want to get in with it. But well, what was your overall thoughts on that one?
If I wasn't able to sell you on it before,
Suyo Kute New Saga, or is it just New Saga? I think it's New Saga.
Yeah, they just call it New Saga. If I wasn't able to sell you on it before,
this is the one where he's going back and trying something again.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you talk about it. Yeah.
The last kind of arc was kind of disappointing. But I still like the way it kind of played out, because what I was trying to tell you before when we were watching it, or when I was watching it, and I was saying you might want to check it out, is instead of the where in the other one that we were watching where he went back, he kind of just became this Sugoi type character, and eventually he just said, okay, here's what's going to happen, and this is why I know what's going to happen. Whereas in this one, he's kind of keeping his cards
Did
to
he
him.
reveal it in that one?
I think he revealed it to the girls.
I know that
At some
he
point.
kind of sort of forced them into join the squad to do that, but I don't think he ever told them exactly what happened. Did I finish that one? I think I finished it. Now you got me questioning myself. Sorry, go ahead.
At any rate, that one, it didn't work. It just became too much of a.
He's basically showing them like ways to break the system. Like, this is how you get really strong really fast. Like,
Right.
he's showing them the gimmicks to get stronger faster.
In this one, he's not so much doing that. He is doing it to a point. He's kind of in, helping the girls and the guy that kind of hangs out with him. He's kind of helping them kind of get stronger, but they're already pretty much strong. What he's kind of doing in a lot of cases is kind of side skirting things that might cause issues. But even by doing that, he's putting himself in situations that he wasn't expecting. One of the best.
You change the route of time. It's going to go down a path that wasn't there before.
Right. And he's kind of seen the backgrounds to some of the situations that he's already dealt with. So he's in some ways, like, for instance, he's going to save this princess, but the princess, he knows the princess was murdered. Well, what he didn't know was that his mentor was involved in the assassination. And so that puts him dead head to head against his mentor. And those repercussions will kind of play out later on, I'm sure. But it was really a kind of a cool, when I was mentioning there's consequences to what he's having to deal with, and he doesn't, it's not playing out like the other one where he would have saved his mentor or whatever. No, he has to go fight to the death because his mentor is bound and determined to kill this princess, and he wants to save the princess. So there's a lot of things that
It's
are
a ReZero conundrum.
yeah, and even later on, I mean, there's other situations where he's kind of dealing with situations kind of like that as well. Now, to be fair, the last arc was kind of doing this, kind of putting the demons and the demon lord into play. And I don't know that I really liked a lot of that, but it still kind of played out this the things that I was talking about, where he's really literally kind of facing this character who's important in my timeline. What was the background behind that character, and why does that character matter? And can I help this character get them into play? He's also kind of finding other characters that were important, but they didn't quite meet their full potential, and so he's helping them meet their full potential. And
it's funny because I like the concept there, and again, it goes back to the show that we talked about before that does this whole, like, they got to the last boss or some catastrophe happens, and then suddenly they find themselves back here, and they like, okay, how do I make sure that doesn't happen? And again, with that other show, it was mostly focused on the idea of, I need to get these folks together and get them better.
Right.
Like, we're gonna get leveled up. When we went and fought that thing, we were all level 40, and it didn't end well. Let's get everybody to level 99.
right.
And then we're gonna just stomp the situation, and nobody dies in the end. And there's a lot of that one had to do with the fact that they were dying along their journey.
Right.
These are people that died during their fight, and so he doesn't want that to happen again. I do like that concept, but it's like every single time it seems like I run into it, it's like it doesn't. It has potential. Like, the
Right.
concept itself has such good potential because there is an element of loss at the same time of preventing that loss ever again. And I like the idea, like you're describing there, of just kind of finding all these different chess pieces and kind of putting them in the right spot. It's just in most cases, it just doesn't feel like they ever execute on it well, where I care enough about those chess pieces and at the same time build on them enough. The only reason I like that other show, and I wish I could remember the name of it because we keep bringing it up, is and this is another an aspect that I love and also hate, is it seemed like it was a lot more focused. Like, here's these 3 people. I think it was mostly just 3 people at the time.
Right.
And it was dead focused on those characters. That way it can build them up rather than be too sporadic and too many chess pieces. But the problem I had was, like, I didn't feel like I didn't get from him, like, I just bumped into this person that was dead and I mourned. It just felt like I didn't feel like a care for especially the one girl where I think they imply that he was in love with her and that she died. It's like, it doesn't feel like he really cares about this girl. It doesn't feel like he has an attachment. Like
this one, the redhead, she's technically dead. And so he kind of
course, Chris, because he's redhead. Does she have freckles too? I bet she has freckles too. Does she have freckles?
Now, what's funny is the elf kind of comes in short time later, and he immediately tries to go to chase her down, and he immediately calls her by her true name, and she absolutely goes ballistic over this. You are not supposed to know my true name. How do you know my true name? And
the familiarity thing's always a funny oopsie. Like, oh, that's right. We don't know each other that well yet.
This also kind of causes an issue between Lise, who is his kind of childhood love, and Urza, who's his after she's passed away, he kind of falls into her bed type thing. And so that kind of causes a conflict between those two.
Returner's Magic, by the way, for everybody. The show that we keep bringing up that happened here recently is Returner Magic.
But either way, I mean, I now that I've watched the entire thing, I still think it's worth it. Maybe someday we'll find one that actually hits all those notes, but this one to me really did it a lot better than Return of Magic.
I mean, I won't say that Return of Magic was like great or anything, but I did enjoy it. I mean, it's enough that I finished it. It's enough that I finished it. And these days it's getting more and more difficult to finish shows with how much we have coming out. And I will be checking out the second season of it. But I think I mostly liked the first season of Return of Magic because I liked Eru, the girl that, again, I think that he implied that she was somebody he was in love with. Because I remember she was, what did she Kanane Seiyu? She was Kanane Seiyu, wasn't she?
I don't remember.
Oh no, she's a Roha. Oh yeah. Okay, that kind of explains a lot. So you haven't started this season much of My Best Friend's Sister Has It In For Me?
No, not yet.
So I was watching the first episode of that, and I got this itching feeling that this girl feels exactly like the girls from... Did you watch the boy-girl Friendship Can't Last?
Yeah, a little bit of it, yeah.
You remember how toxic that one girl was? Was her name Hinami? Yeah, Himari. Remember Himari, the blue-haired girl, the one that's from his past that made the decision with him? How like nasty and toxic she was, and it turned out this big old thing where everybody was watching the show because of how toxic she was. I'm like, this girl from My Best Friend's Sister Has It In For Me literally feels like Himari. Like, not as toxic as Himari was. Same say you. And it was like, I think that the selling point was really this one moment they're in this stairwell, and she acts like she wants to confess to him, like grabs him from behind and says that she, you're not taking a hint, and I want to give it to you. I want to be with you. You keep looking forward, but you're not looking about what's in front of you, kind of thing. And then she suddenly goes, I'm like I'm just making fun of you. You actually fell for it. I'm like, it legit's Himari. Like, it's the same Seiyu and everything. It's legit Himari. Even the lines feel like they're one for one from that damn boy-girl Friendship Can't Last show. Like, god damn, dude. And sure enough, it's the same Seiyu. This poor Seiyu, Sayumi Suzushiro, I bet they called her going, my gosh, this character is exactly the same as this Himari character. We gotta hire this lady because she did so well with that show. I bet you about the time that they were getting ready to record, they were like, "Oh, she's doing great on the other show. We got to bring that girl over here and have her do some toxicity over here." It's the same Seiyu as I ran into another one here a minute ago that you would have known. I mean, she is the. Well, did you watch the show with the world tree and the boy with the appraisal skill? Every given worth of appraiser skill class, I'm actually the strongest.
Yeah.
It was the mama of the tree in the first episode.
Okay.
That Seiyu. I don't know if they really... I don't think they stood out that much in that show, though. Anyways, that was my sidetrack. Will we talk about New Saga? Anyways, yeah, New Saga, I can't believe that's her Seiyu, dude. I thought she's something else back then. Who was I attached to with her Seiyu when that aired? Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Nijika from Bochi the Rock.
I've revealed at least one kind of hook moment for me. If that wasn't enough to get you, it's a lost cause.
Lost cause. Did it look good, or was this like a pretty budget show?
No.
One of those budget shows?
Yes.
So
I stayed for the story, not for the visuals.
I'm not going to talk about Takapi's Original Sin here, by the way, people. I've made an entire review video of it. I want to wait for Chris to watch it. We might actually come back and talk about it again later on. Once he does finally watch it, we might do like just a segment in one of our videos, podcasts, just talking about Takapi's Original, because I'm sure that once he finally watches it, he's probably going to want to talk about it. We might just make a whole like spoiler discussion of it. I think that would be really good. But I'm not going to talk about Takapi's Original Sin, but I'll talk about one that was up there as my number 2 of the season. Not number 2 or number 3. I think my number 3. I think I might put him on number 3. Ruri Rocks. Did you get a chance to see any of Ruri Rocks? You liked Onimai, right?
Yes.
I think it, not as like a commit. Don't commit. But like if you have a moment just to throw it on in the background, just throw it on Ruri Rocks, dude. I think this is one of those shows where it's like just a comfort. Such a comfort show that actually just... I found to be pretty much my every single week. This is a show to turn on just to feel good. Like it is a yashike. Watch these kids go out there and discover, not technically kids. I mean, you have like college students. Watch these women go out and discover rocks and geek out about rocks. I mean, it's obviously this writer is like a massive like geologist nerd, but I also did a full video on this one, by the way. So if you guys want like super in-depth review, I don't think I'll ever put it as well as I did in that video because it took me forever to really kind of word it the way that I wanted to word it. But I think it's Onimai, the artistry of Onimai, not the etchiness of Onimai. I mean, there's a thick geologist Nagi chick, and there's like thighs and feet and all that kind of stuff. It's like they're attractive characters. The designs are very attractive, but it's got like the style and the attention to detail and the animation expressiveness of Onimai. And that was enough to kind of take something that I think if any other studio, like what was the studio for the new Saga? I didn't look. Like if it was any other studio, like say EMT Squared or something like that, or some other like budget studio that did Ruri Rocks, I wouldn't have watched it. Without a doubt, I wouldn't have watched it. It was because Bind and the director of Onimai was involved with it as well. Like all these like people that were key essential parts of what made Onimai what it is special, the animators that took Ruri Rocks, which was like, again, it's rock nerdery. Sorry, mineral nerdery. It's about just geeking out and figuring out where the stuff is, how it's produced, how gems are made, minerals are made, the thousands of years of like compression and moving earth that makes it what it is, how it flows down river, how you can find where minerals are at and deposits are at, the scientific process of discovery, made entertaining, made entertaining with the characters. But I do give the writer credit too, because I do really like the characters, and I think the key thing that I loved most about it was like the other big thing that why I appreciate this show so much is that it's got a very deep-rooted concept of like kohai and senpai kind of thing. Like when Rui first goes out to find rocks, to her it's rocks. When she first got out to find jewelry is what she's really trying to find. She's trying to find rocks that she could put in jewelry. When she goes out to find them, she runs into Nagi. And Nagi, as a college student with a degree in, I believe she had a degree in geology, as a studied geologist, basically, she's able to then, guide Rui into finding them. And then she agrees to help Rui further on going forward. And in effect, at that point, Rui comes into their lab, and then she sort of inspires an undergrad there, Yoko, to get out more, because Yoko is more of a book smart girl. She's not much of a first-hand experience girl. And so Rui essentially encourages her to go out into the world and discover it firsthand, which is a eye-opening experience for her. Then later on, a classmate, Shoko, gets involved because she liked minerals and rocks. But then at some point, her family sort of, overhearing her parents, she figured out that nobody sees a future in, minerals and rocks and geology. So she gave up on it. But then seeing Rui and them, enjoying it, she then suddenly gets sucked into it. And then through her conversation with Yoko, the book smart one, she gets the encouragement to just go and do what you want to do. If this is something that you can do, go do it. It's going to be difficult, but go do it. What it turns into, what I'm getting into here, is that Rui is inspired by Nagi to find out the deeper value in the minerals. Rui inspires Yoko to get out more to discover them firsthand. Yoko then inspires Shoko the idea of seeking out your dreams. And then Shoko's inspired by Rui to get out more, and she basically becomes Rui's kohai. It's like they're inspiring each other. And I love that. I love that element in stories like this. It's super heartwarming. All the way until the very end, having Rui literally going, I don't know what I want to do in the future. And we're all, girl, you know exactly what you want to do. You know exactly what you want to do. I loved it. I love the designs. They're super cute. Such fun characters. Animation was so good. So good. Did you get the chance to watch The Lord of Mysteries?
No.
Will you? Do you think you're going to eventually get into it? Because did I tell you before, they're going to full adaptation that. They already have like 7 seasons planned out for it. 10 cents.
I don't seem to remember it piquing my interest in any way.
I guess the best way I could explain it is it literally is probably like, if you were to, putting aside the fact that it is full on Danhua. This is China, produced by Tencent, studio Japan, China, producers, voicing, original writing, everything is China. And I even had a problem with going to watch it, not because of that. I don't care where it's made. It's just I am a content creator for anime, and so it's like the moment I do that, it's kind of opening the door to, oh, well, did you watch Arcane? Did you watch Castlevania? And it's like, but I want to focus on these things. The only reason that pushed me to go watch it was that I heard just like literally everybody was saying positive things about it. The original source material is like one of the like highest rated books and everything in Japan and China. But I gave it a shot. I'm like, okay, I'll give episode 1 a shot. It's so anime, but it's not anime. Like it's an isekai, but like what I got a sense of is, you basically, for those who don't know, is a guy that is down on his luck, and he does this ritual, and he ends up finding himself transported into the body of this guy, Klein, and he's got a hole through his head. Like, he goes inside the body of somebody in another world, and this person seemingly pulled the trigger on his head. And it healed up really quickly with the moment he came in the body, but he's like, okay, why am I here? The whole ritual sent me here, apparently. Okay, I gotta get back. I gotta figure out how to do this ritual to go back. And then it starts going to this whole thing about, like, figuring out why this person I'm in now, why they took their life. Seems to have something to do with this book that's on the desk here that he was looking at. And it gets into, like, this deeper thought process of all this stuff. The journal of the Antigonist family. That's pretty much the setup. And then he eventually gets pulled into this one organization that utilizes these potions that give you beyonder abilities. Because this world, everybody has the opportunity to, well, I'm not sure if everybody does, but if people in this world consume these potions, they become beyonders who have special abilities. And there's potions for, like, literally a whole bunch of pathways. And they typically start at the very bottom as the lowest sequence. And they get the potion for that, and then they have to basically digest the potion by using abilities and whatnot. And then when they get to a certain point, they can get the next potion for the next level, and they keep going up the ladder of the pathway until they get to the highest, which is all a pathway to the divine. The higher you go, the more closer you are to basically being a god. And so he joins this organization, gets the option to like choose, I think, like 3 different ones. He ends up choosing Seer. But there's other ones like assassin classes, and there's all these other ones. But what was so cool was like the moment I get into the first episode, I'm like, I kind of feel a little bit overwhelmed. At the same time, I'm hearing whispers that their pacing's a little bit off for this first season because they're trying to get to a certain point in the story, which you'll understand when you get to the end of the first season. I hope they kind of slow down at this point, but like I felt overwhelmed and I kind of assumed that was the case for that, which really does kind of bog it down a little bit because holy crap, this writer, it feels like they literally thought of everything. Like there is so much in the world of Lord of Mysteries that it's just, I eat up all of it. Again, the sequences, the Beyonders, the abilities themselves, the mysticism that they have, the abilities they use, the organizations. There's like so many freaking cults that all these different cults use their own sequences that they're actually building, and they have their own recipes for the potions. The deeper plot lines of, you know, different cults that are coming together in order to summon up like gods. And then at some point, Klein does the ritual to go back, but then he somehow ends up in the divine plane, and 2 other people end up in that same divine plane at the same time, and they start to see him as a god. He has them do a ritual thus making him potentially a god. And it's like, what are we doing here? It's like how much this writer thought about what they wanted to do with this character and the world and the politics and the cults and the organizations. It's just like, that would be my selling point to you. Is that, and this is not an anytime soon thing, because I think season 2 is, I think they're going to have some episodes in 2026, but I think season 2 officially, I think, is supposed to be in 2027. But again, it's Tencent money, and they apparently really do have a lot of hopes for the source material, and they do have full-on plans to do a full adaptation, which I think is 7 seasons. They're literally going to be adapting this for the next 10 years. And it's like, it's scary to think about that, by the way. But it's like, I'm on board. Like I literally every week they were 32 to 34 minute episodes with only an ED. They had like an opening segment where it explains the whole pathway systems every damn episode, but like for the most part, like it was like at least 31 minutes per episode for an entire season. I had so many notes. Like I'm taking notes on this show and I'm trying to figure things out, and my videos for the most part were typically as long as the episodes themselves, if not longer, because I had so much theories and so much I wanted to talk about. It was up there with something like Mushoku Tensei, whereas Mushoku Tensei technically I like more for because of the characters and how like willing Rifujin is on getting very like questionable and dirty with the characters, giving characters massive flaws, and then having them either overcome the flaws or seek redemption, or in some cases not redemption. But Rifujin's a willingness to have just really nasty characters with flaws and explode those flaws. This one's more, I think, just purely the world, because I don't necessarily think that Klein so far is an interesting character, main character. He's just kind of in a very fascinating world. If I were to give it characters in this show, it's more for like side characters like Dunn Smith, which is his captain. He's freaking amazing. Azik, which is somebody that Klein eventually runs into, who he's been apparently alive for a long time, and he for some reason always forgets. Getting into him was more fascinating. The side characters and even some of the villains like Tristy and stuff were more fascinating to me than Klein. So it's like it's an opposite to Mushoku Tensei, whereas I like this one more for the mechanics and the world. That one, as a isekai, is more for like character study. Like Mushoku for me has always been like character study. Anyways, I definitely highly suggest to people, if you're okay with, I think the biggest stink, not the biggest stink, but I think the one of the sticking points for me early on was the fact that it was only in Chinese, and I don't really, not that I have a problem with the spoken. It's just more of like it's kind of distracting because I don't have, like I do with Japanese, where at least I understand some of it. With this, it's like it's like my brain is trying to figure out what they're saying, and it's like, no, Andrew, this is not Japanese. That is definitely not Japanese, Andrew. You can't figure out what they're saying.
It was actually kind of funny. I was watching,
but there's a dub now, an English dub.
I was watching one show, and I literally heard. I think it was like one of those Crouching Tigers, one of those Chinese kind of action films, and they literally went to talk to somebody, and they swapped over and started talking in Japanese, and I'm like, I know that language.
I'm home. I'm home. Yeah, the only thing I get is like whenever they say like ni hao or something like that, like, oh, hey, I recognize something in Chinese. Got that one. But speaking of Chinese stuff, To Be Hero X ended too. Did you get a chance to finish that one?
I got up to the dog.
Oh, you were so close to seeing the ending.
I got to finish it.
You were so close to seeing the ending. It's actually a pretty damn good ending. I have massive question marks at the ending of this season overall, but I haven't heard anything on a sequel yet, which is kind of surprising. I know that there was people saying that they've talked about it.
It doesn't feel like there's going to be an end anytime soon.
Yeah. I would assume that if they wanted to keep it going, they're going to keep it going. But
yeah, I got through the dogs episode, and X seems to be more involved than he likes to apply.
Dude, he was in the background that whole time, and I kind of wonder, because that's supposedly after Smile, because they have like billboards about like the fall of Smile and whatever, and so it has to be after that is the point in which, because I think that whole thing happened, or the things with Ahu and who was the girl that he was with?
He's Tora. He's not Ahu.
Tora. But yeah, there was like the whole situation there, and it had the billboards in the background. So I assume that at that point, X is. This is like, I don't think there's really much you could spoil about this series, but I will put a spoiler warning here, because I think every time we talk about To Be Hero X, we end up doing spoiler talk. But I've always said it. The show is like got a really cool design to the whole like CGI / different art styles, 2D with each episode. They didn't really do too much switching. I think there's only been like 3-4 art styles overall. But it's just a really fun, fascinating superhero show with like the whole twist of basically corporations corporatizing superheroes and building up superheroes by literally advertising them, and sort of the difficulties that come with the idea of giving people power.
R&D as well, so
yeah. But yeah, getting to the discussion later stuff that we haven't really got to talk about yet. But with that stuff happening after what happened with Smile, made me kind of believe that X himself was, because when he was talking to Smile, X was like, I don't care, I'll give it up, I really don't want it. The only reason I still have it is because they postponed the tournament, and now they want to get rid of X, and that's why Smile was there to like warn him, and he's like, no, I'll give it up. The fact that something happened to Smile was suddenly like this turn to, and the fact that he's still there even with Ahu's story makes me believe that at that point he decided, I'm going to take down the organization. I really do feel like he wants to take down the organization. Now, you don't see it because you haven't seen the last episode, but he literally goes to the tournament, and it ends with him literally going on stage and saying, I'm about to flip the script, basically. Like, they want something to happen, and we're playing into it. They're implying, X implies to Ahu that they're all playing into somebody's fate, their plan that they have, and I'm about to break that. And he goes on the stage, not as X. That was the kind of twist there. He goes up there as himself. So I'm thinking he wants to break it. Now, the other twist they had at the very end there was the fact that Nice is back. Not the new Nice. Not the new Nice. Like, not Lin Ling, the one that replaces him. It's literally Nice. Nice is there. So I'm like, I mean, I have my theories that I got into with my video about who this potential other Nice is, but I mean, I can go to like multiple directions. There could be the fact that, I mean, how did they make Lin Ling into Nice? Is they just painted somebody as Nice and threw him on stage, and people believed he was Nice, and he became Nice. So they could easily do that, but this whole freaking fear zombie crap they're doing, I wouldn't have a doubt that it might possibly be a fear monster they've somehow, or they threw Nice inside of a chamber and resurrected him. Because I had an ongoing theory that they were going to do that with Isol. I was convinced that Shang had Isol and that he was going to revive Isol with that stuff, but they never showed him. I don't know. It was overall a really good season or a series. Freaking, which went 2 cores, didn't it?
Yeah.
24 episodes. I went 26 episodes. I liked it. I thought I'm surprised how much I liked X in the end. Because I don't usually like the dandy kind of characters. I really don't. But he's just too cool. Like, he just shows up and just snaps the finger, yawning, snaps the fingers, getting his... He just always... I want my drink. Like, I just feel like he just wants his drink and just... People leave me alone. Again, I got that impression with him and talking to his smile. But, like, how he handled Dragon Boy, that... I still love that whole shot. Where he comes in there. Because what was Dragon Boy's whole thing?
How much damage you do to me, I multiply it.
Yeah, that too. He's full counter. He's full counter, basically. He's like 7 Deadly Sins full counter. But no, like, his whole thing was just calling everybody trash because he got called trash by his parents, which, of all the characters, Dragon Boy's was easily the weakest character. Like, his backstory was stupid. I mean, it's screwed up because it implies that his parents literally locked him under ice and then called him trash because he couldn't survive underwater. It's still tragic, but his whole thing is like, this is why he calls people trash. Cool backstory, bro. But he's calling people trash over and over again, going, take out the trash. My whole thing is take out the trash. And then what does X do to him? Turns him into literal trash. Throws in the water, snaps him back. Yeah, I'm assuming my whole thought process with X is that I think because I was always thinking his ability was going to be bending reality. Like, he makes reality and bends reality to what he wants. What I got a sense of after his whole arc, because it doesn't really come out and say it, I'm assuming his whole thing is that he's able to produce art into reality and put reality into art. So if he wants to, he
seems
basically...
to be generally what he... But how does that explain Queen?
He put her into art and then popped her out of the art, and they just didn't show it. I think they purposely went out of their way to not show what he did to Queen, to not tip their hand too much. But my assumption there is that he snapped her into the ground and then snapped her back out of it, and before she realized she's on her back. Like, he snapped her... She's now art on the ground, snapped her, and she's now suddenly laying on the ground. So it's like an instantaneous, I'm on my back for some reason. Now, why she give up instantaneously, that more leads me to the idea that she tried to struggle for the longest time, but then she gave up, and then he snapped her back out of it. I don't know. I think they purposely just want to show what he did back then. But, like, yeah, the whole scenario with his fighting, it's always like snapping somebody into the wall as, I love the whole retro... Ahu and like 32-bit style, all that kind of stuff, and walking around. I thought he looked like Moonwalker when he went into the wall and he was pixelated art. I'm like, he looks like Moonwalker. But no, like the pixelized art, throwing him in the walls. And then like whenever he's in there with them, it's like he's fighting them in that environment. But then he's also, it shows, this is the sucky part, the series when he meets up with Ahu. Did you watch the episode with Ahu and him helping Ahu?
No, I think that one it was after his...
You've seen Ahu when he met the girl and helped them out with the bad guys. The next episode.
And X was involved in getting him, in saving him.
Yeah. So the scene where Ahu's going out there and the guy comes out there with him and then he sees X and he's at the vending machine. There's the pilot video of X that they released before the series shows X's perspective, and it shows what he does to all the guys there. It's a really cool segment you should check out. In that segment, at some point, he snaps the sword into reality. So that's where I get into the idea of pulling art out as well. And he also, at some point, when they're on the roof, and they show this in that episode, he snapped a car out of a billboard. So he's able to produce art, art into reality, and reality into art, is what I'm really kind of thinking his power comes down to. Now, the question mark still is, how is he that strong? Because typically it requires trust to be strong, and he's been strong seemingly from the get-go. Again, he appeared out of nowhere and was able to overcome Queen.
So does that explain what happened with Moon, or are you still convinced that he was involved with Moon?
Now that I know more about what his power is, I don't think he was involved with Moon. Okay. I think he could have tried to warn. See, why I thought that Lin Ling seen Moon dead was because X gave him a vision of her death. Unless he snapped that into visual for him, I don't think that's the case anymore. I'm now at this point, I don't know why he's seen her dead. Unless Lin Ling getting the powers of of nice and wanting perfection, maybe he's seen failure, or maybe possibly he's seen something that Nice himself feared. I don't know. It is actually a good point. I'm glad you asked that, because now I think about it, I don't know how to answer that anymore, because my initial thought was that X gave him a warning. You're going to see, this is going to happen. Now that I know what X can do, why did he see Moon dead? Why did he see Moon dead? I don't know anymore. A cheap fake out that the writers did from the very beginning that never got answered. I mean, it took us forever to find out that she seemingly is actually dead. If she's even dead, they had a news report. They had a news report in, I thought that was Ahu's episode. Yeah, when Ahu got, no, maybe that was the final episode, but they had like this big wrap up moment before they got into X's story proper, which it basically went through like the aftermath of the incident at the spaceship. And basically, yeah, Dragon Boy's situation is not going well for him. The Smile incident happened. Oh yeah, by the way, Moon has been killed. And they went to talk to Shang. And Shang said, I came to an agreement with Lin Ling that we're going to handle it. So it gives the impression that Lin Ling, obviously again witnessing her death, that they have come to an agreement. Which I'm assuming is going to be Shang came to Lin Ling and said, hey, yes, we know that Isol did it, but I don't want to just take down Isol. I want to take down who ordered Isol. So don't do anything yet. We're going to take down Rock. I think he probably came to an agreement with him to work together to take down Rock rather than just Isol. Or another fake out and Queen's somewhere. I will still never be convinced until I see. I don't even know if a funeral would work, because they technically they can easily fake out a funeral. They did it before. Moon technically already died before, and they faked out her funeral. So why wouldn't they do it again? I don't trust these dirtbags. Like, what I came down to a conclusion of after watching all of 2P Hero X is that I don't like Yang. He became like a dirtbag Isol. I don't like Yang anymore. I don't like Dragon Boy. And every single adult involved in agencies for these organizations are scumbag. Even Zen. I thought there was a possibility Zen might be actually a good guy, because he saved Lucky Cyan. And he was a good boy that came in and saved them from the Dean. But then I come to find out this dirtbag sent off his own daughter for Mickey's little plot. I'm like, he's talking about like some fear thing they're doing, this test experiment. They're going to cause this disaster. No, yeah, by the way, I have somebody else I'm sending. Who you sending? And then suddenly Queen walks in the door and she's like, she can go, right? I'm like, oh, Zen, I've lost all my respect for you. You're a scumbag like everybody. He's just as involved with all that fear crap as Mickey is. All of them. Even Shang I wanted to have hope for, but Shang turned to dirtbag too.
Is
what he was doing
still
nice.
Safe?
So far.
Okay.
So far. So
they've ruined Queen.
No, Queen's fine. Zen's dirtbag. What? Queen has done nothing.
You just said Queen was going into the fear stuff.
No, Mickey wanted to send her to a dangerous situation where they were using the fear.
Oh.
And Zen allowed Queen to do it. Zen is Queen's father. That's why I was saying Zen's a dirtbag. She has a lousy dirtbag father. That's all I'm saying. No, I think all the heroes I liked. The only heroes I didn't like in the end. I understand Yang's story, so don't get me wrong. I don't like Yang as a person because, again, he literally killed the person that saved him, that he looked up to gain power. I understand Yang as a character because he's technically doing it because he feels that it's the only route to get to his revenge. And Rock has manipulated him. Rock has literally groomed him from a kid to as a fake donut seller, or not donut, a hot dog seller. But no, I think other than Yang and his personality for willing to kill his friend, I don't like Dragon Boy's story so far, but I like all the other heroes. I think Ghostblade's got like a pretty screwed up past. He's trying to do good. Little Johnny's just too pure boy. Lolly's just, she's got a girlfriend. She's trying to save Nono and get stronger. I think Lolly was probably one of the more fascinating of the heroes, just because she's never actually had hero powers.
Yeah.
She's always been, because she has armor that literally says nope to fear and trust value power. No, Queen, I still think in the end, Lucky's my favorite. I just think that I love her design. And I think her story was one of the better ones. But Queen, it's hard to deny Queen.
Did they bring Lou back? Or did he end up in the last episode or so?
Luo?
Yeah. Calamity.
No.
Because I still think that he would be an awesome...
You threw me off because there's technically two characters named Lou.
Yeah, I know.
Loli's father is Professor Lupe.
But him and Cyan together, I think they were fantastic.
Yeah, I don't...
And I still think that they would have been a really amazing duo team.
Yeah, because like the latest period that we really get to see her for an extended period of time was the moment that Queen contacts her about going to the crash site.
Right.
And there really is no mention even there about him. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever get back to him. I think he's just kind of a
throwaway.
So don't worry about him no more. We're not talking about him no more. We're not talking about him. Don't worry about him no more. He was just like a blip on the radar. He was there to give her some boost, but then she's not really that important. I think like character story wise though, in the end, the original Nice. His story is so freaking messed up. It's not even funny. The moment that we got towards like after the crash site incident.
Well, he's had
and
the
Shang's
most...
manipulation of him is super like toxic as hell, dude.
Well, he is like literally the it's funny because I think that one of the coolest things about the way the story is played out is you get this story of Nice, and kind of it all kind of wraps up with Ling Ling going into this story. And you're always going, I wonder why he did this. And then you're finding out through the little tidbits of each one of these other characters. While you're getting these other characters, you're getting kind of fortifying story tidbits that explain what Nice is, why Nice is in this kind of situation, from the quirks, the downsides to the quirks, the abilities. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know what they were really called. The drawbacks to their powers. Well, I mean the drawbacks, like
curse.
Yeah, the curse part of the and quirk was kind of the best one that fits that because the quirks had the same problem. But each one of these stories kind of goes into how does the power kind of manifest itself. What is the kind of the when people are giving you that power, you are supposed to move in a certain way. and all of these other things, and who actually really has the power. What are they all fighting for? All those little tidbits goes into who Nice was and why he did what he did. And I think that was kind of the cool thing about the storytelling in this show.
Yeah, I think his interaction with Shang after bumping in his smile was like the most telling part, because I love that little representation that it gives where it shows Shang and he's puppeteering him. And he says, I use the fear of fear to make you perfect. And then it suddenly shows everybody's watching him. All the people are watching him. And it turns that whole thing where I used perfection as I use fear to make you perfect and that be your power. But then you have people all around him, and even Shang himself essentially trying to force him in different directions. It's the idea that you're supposed to look perfect to everybody. Everybody's calling him perfect, and the power is forcing him to have to be perfect. But then Shang's over here saying, do something that's not perfect. Go kill Smile. Wait, that's not what the people around me that are all the audience isn't saying this, but for some reason the ringleader in the middle of the ring here is telling me to do something else, and he's being pulled in like different directions, and it shows his character literally shred in half because he can't go these two different directions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's why he went crazy. That's literally why he went crazy. That's why he went crazy. It's super good. Like I thought Nice's character in the end was really well put, and it's like, it does kind of make me wish that he's not dead. It's a long fall, but he is technically a superhero. There's a chance that he may not have died, but why would Miss J go through the process of trying to make Lin Ling into him unless she's like, he's lost his mind, we got to put him away and we'll make him into it and we'll say that he died, but I don't know why they would lie to Lin Ling. Anyways, I think we should call it there for the reviews. I do want to get some questions on, because we have to make sure we do questions every episode. What the fan art in our community says, what do you think is the difference between a fan and an otaku? Maybe there's no one singular definition, so giving this over to your opinions. He italicized the your.
Just specifically Japanese anime inspired fan.
Well, okay, so like we mentioned before, because I think at some point we talked about this in the idea of Otaku Spirit, like the name that we actually made there. It's like this idea that, yes, technically otaku in Japan is kind of seen as it's kind of frowned upon. It's not actually a good word. But the idea of what the Japanese term otaku is just somebody that is like, they again use it in a derogatory way because it's seen as sort of an obsessive love for something.
Right.
So a train otaku is somebody that collects a bunch of trains, and they got train photos and train books and train. An anime otaku is going to be in Japan somebody that just loves anime, that loves it, like has an unhealthy obsession with it. In the West, we've sort of co-opted otaku as a fan of anime.
Right.
You don't hear somebody over here say, I am a board game otaku. Board game what? That's what you're gonna say, yeah, board game fan, or I like board games. Yeah, to your word there, in Japan you can see otaku being fan, an equal meaning there, but it's very much so, from what I understand, very much more derogatory. So that is our opinion. Darwin says, if you guys had the time, would you dive into Heaven Burns Red and review the stories as a section or section on the podcast? No. I downloaded it. I played the beginning moments of it. I just wasn't. I don't have time for it, really, is all it is.
What is it?
It's Key Visual Art Studio.
It's a visual novel.
They made that visual. They made a mobile game. It's literally what saved the studio. It seems like it didn't save the studio, but it bumped their stocks up quite a bit before they were bought out, or at least their worth up before they got bought out. But yeah, it's like all the Key Visual Arts people's game. I wanted to play it. It wasn't really grabbing me. It was too much like running around, and I just didn't have time for it. But no, I don't think we will, because I don't have time. You?
I have less time.
It's a PC game. You can get on Steam. We'll do one more.
one last one, if it's not too long. If it's too long, I'll say never mind. What's an anime that was amazing to you, but you can't ever watch again or won't watch again? Chris, don't say the thing that starts with G. Kotaro Lives Alone and Your Line April. I can't suffer with all that sadness again. I want to pose a different way because we've always answered the question. Go ahead.
Grave of Fireflies.
I don't mind watching that again, honestly. I've heard a lot of people here recently say Takapi's Original Sin. And I will say that was a show that I actually was willing to go rewatch an episode because of how much I found in it. It is not a comfortable thing. It's just like Grave of the Fireflies. It's kind of one of those ones you don't really feel like you should. But I felt like with Grave of the Fireflies, it was saying, obviously, this wasn't a good thing, right?
Right.
And this is what happened with people.
Well,
with Takapi's Original Sin, I felt like I at least had like a message in there.
Well,
and that message made it valuable. Valuable.
Right. And it's probably in the same vein. It's brilliant. It's an absolute masterpiece. But it's such a brutal message that you don't feel like you could sit through it again because you
got the point.
I got the point. Yeah. I don't want to go through that entire process again. It was just that much of a heart-wrenching story, and I would assume the Takapi's is the same way. It's just such a heart-wrenching story that you don't want to go back and do that again.
Yeah, I think with like, it's like the idea of like you got the envelope, you took there and you cut open the top of it, you opened up, it punched you in the face. I got the message. You don't have to go, wait, what was in there again? Like, I don't need to, what was the message? Okay, yeah, that was the message. I forgot about that. You're not going to forget. I think more so for Takapi's Original Sin, though, is because, and this is sort of the same thing with certain elements of Grave of the Fireflies, there's sort of an artistic value there as well as really wanting to deep dive into, you know, like the artistic symbolisms they did with a lot of the visual shots and perspectives. There's art in there. There's visual art in there that you want to kind of dissect and see how the artists were really kind of trying to say something right here. There's that kind of stuff to dissect. And then there's like, you know, probably like 4 segments of the show, probably even more than that, where it's like, yeah, if I rewatch this segment, I might skip forward by 20 seconds because I don't really want to sit through this again. I know what happens there. I can skip forward here and I can look at this stuff. That's really what it is. Whereas like Grave of the Fireflies is like this slow, it's getting worse and worse, and there, oh, that was bad, and then it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and never really kind of pulls up the plane just is on a slow nosedive for the entire time. You know where it's going. So it's like a impending doom the entire time you're thinking about it. Other than that, I wouldn't mind watching Your Line April, but it didn't affect me as much as it did other people. I don't know if that would be one that you would be like, no, I think I'm good.
I don't mind watching it again.
I think that's really one of those ones where, like, for the majority of the show, it's not really the presence of it.
Yeah, that would be in the same vein as A Silent Voice. I mean, I could watch that again. I love it. But that
like Violet Evergarden, there's episodes that are very rough of that one, but
yeah.
There's always like, at least with Violet Evergarden, there's like, it's always like bittersweet in a lot of cases. It's not like crushing like Grave of the Fireflies.
Right.
It doesn't feel like hopeful at the end of Grave of the Firefly. That's really the thing there. Like even with Takabi's Original Sin, again, like I said before, there's a message there. There's a very positive message there, if you're not too broken to look at it. Whereas Grave of the Fireflies, there's no feeling of hope at the end there. It's just really like, this is the repercussions. This is what we did, kind of thing. So yeah, I can see that even with like, yeah, Your Line April, there's still like a message there. There's a hope in the end of everything. I can't really think of anything else outside of like Grave of the Fireflies that really has that, like, nobody's happy in the end. There's nothing really here to kind of go, cool, glad I watched that.
I mean, technically we know the ending and it ended up well, but at the end of the show, it wasn't well.
We know how things went. We wrote the history books. We're good. We're good. I don't know what else. Like, okay, other than that, like even with things like Higurashi, I guess I don't really get too bogged down by things, I guess. Because, like, even with Higurashi, that's, like, a very violent and oppressive show at many points, and I still don't think I ever have a problem with really picking it up again. And again, I think it's really more the fact that I enjoy them so much. I think the ones where I feel like they're, like, 8 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 shows, I'm perfectly fine with picking them back up because I see so much value in them. That they weren't just oppressive for the sake of being oppressive. I think if I had a show that I watched where I'm like, that's like a 2 out of 10 show and it's really like super cruel, I would never pick it up again.
Yeah.
If I can at least give some value out of it or some storytelling or like aha moments or like creativity and artistry in it, I'm perfectly fine with picking it up again. That's my answer. I'm sorry. My opinion with the fan art. I hope you enjoyed my opinion with the fan art. Now, that was from my Afro ate my dog, which we're still figuring out how the hell the Afro eats the dog. It's typically the dog eats the Afro, but anyways, we're going to call it there. We've been going on a little bit extra long. I'm sure Chris is wanting to sign off because he's got a thing to do. But Chris, appreciate you for dropping by. Hope everybody listening and watching has enjoyed this episode and all the reviews that we went through. I didn't get around to Fragrant Flower Blooms, but you didn't watch that one, do you? Mm-mm. That's like if you got some free time this season, because the season's not really that great, it's a pretty good one. You'll probably enjoy it. It's finally airing on Netflix too, so you can watch it there. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As per usual, again, we're at otakuspirit.com, where all of our links are, social media links, way to get a hold of us, way to support us. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and y'all take care.
Os.